that stuff, but
Yeah.
you know how that works.
Yeah.
Best.
Alright, it says that it's now live, but I had to create a new screen and Katie is watching live. So let's make sure she's good before you get started.
Used. You used us. But that's how my night's going.
Whose is it?
I don't know, whose is it? That's the question.
Are there changes on this, Chris, from what we had?
Yes.
Okay. So toss the one in our packets.
Yep.
I can see this up there. Here, this up there. Another one.
Oh, is it the budget amount for the school?
No, James caught some things.
Okay.
This is a lot better than staring at a computer. Trying to see everybody.
Yeah. Listen to the dogs bark.
Oh,
I
Gavin
get a
showed-
bird that likes to participate.
Yeah, Gavin showed me his picture. I said, did you call him a pigeon again? And he said, his mother said, no.
I asked him.
Yeah. Kevin had his bird up before Howdy, that Gavin said, called him a pigeon. He said.
It's a little insulting.
Yeah. Look at that pigeon.
I wonder what you're teaching that kid.
Yeah.
Alright, well. I can see the live stream on my computer, so I believe it is working.
June 9th, 2020. Roll call, Selectman Howdy Goodwin, Mike Winsalili, Mackenzie Jewett, Kevin Buck, myself, Jamie Thurlow, Town Manager Chris Saunders. I was pausing there, I was waiting for you guys to say, yeah.
You better recognize that lady in the audience too.
Yeah. And, representative of the school district. in the audience. All right. Adoption of agenda. Does anybody have anything they'd like to change? I was gonna see if we could add on something for the, what do you wanna call it, Chris, like COVID-19 signage?
Sure.
Can we just call it that? Put it under regular business is D. It would be 5D, COVID-19 signage. Do we need a motion on that or anything?
Nope.
Okay. All right, approval of minutes. We have the minutes from June 1st, 2020.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of June 1st, 2020.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes from Monday, June 1st, 2020. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
That's quicker.
Yeah, it is. I'm catching myself though, because it's different, that's for sure. All right, regular business. Annual town meeting. Do you want to explain to us, Chris, what our options are, or?
I will do my best.
Okay,
So you have an executive order in front of you that explains what the governor is trying to push us for. And I had a longer conversation with the town attorney this afternoon to try to parse what is in here. And it is not completely clear. and I think there's, well, I don't want to speculate as to why it's not completely clear, but suffice to say, it isn't. But I think the most direct, relevant information is on page 2 in letter B,
50 persons.
and it's letter B is 2 paragraphs, and there's it's in the second paragraph. So I'll just start reading from there. So if such a meeting or hearing cannot be held within CDC guidance, municipal officers or local officials authorized to call open town meetings, open budget meetings, or budget hearings may conduct referenda and/or secret ballot elections, including a secret ballot referendum on July 14th or such other date in calendar year 2020, as the officials may determine. And then it goes on. Given that our town meetings in the past have hosted more than 50 people, I don't think that you could have an open town meeting without exceeding 50 people. You might get lucky, but I think that's a risky bet. And if you exceed 50, then I think you're breaking the intent of the executive orders. So that leaves, I think, a referendum election. I don't see any other way that you could do this. And so.
So it doesn't say you can't have 50 though. I mean, you can't, it says within the current 50-person gathering limitation a minute. So to me, that's saying, once we get to 50, we can shut it down.
Well, yes, as any event, but at that point, if you're turning people away from town meeting, I think you're having an illegal town meeting. And I think.
No, you think they'd, I mean, if that was.
Well, I think their intent is to say, if you're a small town and you always see fewer than 50 people, go for it.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're a town that sees more than 50 people, you can't do it.
And that also would include us, the town attorney, so there's gonna be 10 of us
School
at least.
representative,
Yeah, so
everything.
you're,
Usually, yeah.
So you're talking,
10
Moderator.
or 15
yeah.
of us
yeah.
is right off the 50 right there, so.
So really the first question before you is yes or no. Do you want to do that or do you not want to do that? And if you don't want to do that, then you're stuck with last year's budget, which we've talked about what that means before. But
So if we don't do the open town meeting and it's all secret ballot, it's just everybody's going to vote on the annual town warrant in ballots. There's no,
So this should make.
Plus a select board election.
that's part of the 56.
that's included in the.
If you look at the warrant, that's the second.
No, the individuals.
That's the second thing.
Is it?
Article 2.
Okay, so it's gonna, Article 2 will be a list of names. Sorry about that.
Yep.
Okay,
So 60
Okay,
names
so it's-
anyway to vote on, there's probably.
yeah,
60.
there's probably 60, and then if it's a primary, yeah, it's gonna be a lot to throw at someone.
People are going to be in those ballot booths for a long time.
Yeah. I would encourage absentee voting.
I agree.
And we're gonna have to control how we have people come in, how they're gonna vote.
It looks like Walmart out here.
Yeah, that's what it will be. You'll have
You
to
go,
just-
have them go right around the building.
Hope it's not raining.
But I think this is obviously what the governor has more or less outlined that they want us to do, so, I think that's why now we have, what is it, Chris, 30 days or 60 days to,
You have 30 days to, you have to approve the warrant 30 days before the actual election, and that's because you have to make absentee ballots available 30 days before.
Yep.
So in that case, that deadline is June 14th, which is Sunday, so
We're gonna make a decision tonight,
or,
basically.
well, when you get to the warrant, if you want to schedule it for July 14th, then you should make the motion that's in your memo. And then when we get to actually looking at the warrant, you might want to change some of the things that are on there. And so if you want to do that, then I would recommend having another meeting this week to look at the revised warrant, so to give me some time to revise the warrant and then bring it back to you.
so as far as the first part, you just want a motion that we all would agree that, we should have the town meeting on, or however, whatever you want to call this meeting that we're having, this,
It's a town meeting.
yeah, it's a town meeting on July 14th.
If that's the date that you want to host it,
Yeah.
go for it.
Yeah,
I think it could
Let's
prove
get
to
it
be
done.
really interesting.
Oh, yeah, no, I think it's gonna be very interesting, but also I wouldn't wanna see, if we allowed 30 people in the audience, just say or 35, and then the number 36, we have to say, oh, you have to go sit in your car and watch via Zoom. And if they don't have Zoom capabilities, I think we're just asking for.
I think a meeting that says trying to plug Zoom into it's gonna be a horror show too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and trying to be able to comment, and I just,
That doesn't sound like we get a lot of choice unless we earn with last year's budget. And I'm getting there's at least one person in the crowd that's probably not happy about trying to make that work.
I think we should do it. I mean, again, it's like I was saying about graduation. It wasn't
Yeah.
ideal, but it got the job done. And this isn't ideal, but it can work.
Yeah.
It might be a little tricky and push absentee voting like crazy.
Yeah. I make a motion to schedule the 2020 annual town meeting for July 14th, 2020.
Second,
been moved and seconded to schedule the 2020 annual town meeting for July 14th, 2020. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay. The next thing is the school budget. What do we have for changes on the school budget? Mother, or Nancy Fairlight. School representative.
We all know the relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. Actually, I guess all of the change, you haven't seen it, well, you have, but you haven't seen it, when we were here. We haven't had the Blue Cross for one thing. We adjusted that, we got the rates, and we adjusted that from 10 as our anticipated back down to 6, which is like the rate's gonna be like 5.9. They also, we adjusted the heating oil, because we came in $1.25 on that, so that was great. And then also, there were some additional items at the end of the budget. And if you know, on yours, it should kind of be darker for some of them. What I did was, the additional items were basically, the school committee voted to take all of those items out, except those that they had to comply with for special ed. So your additional day per week for speech is still in there, in the budget, and the special ed tech. But all of the other items have been taken out of the budget. And on the color version, it's highlighted in kind of a red, we zeroed those out. So, and I think we did a few, there were a couple of tweaks that we made in the budget, 4, I believe. And I think that is about it for changes. And so it comes in at a total budget of 3.36, and a town appropriation with those 2 additional items included in the budget would be a 1.83% increase in taxation.
So there was a savings from the first budget that we had of, what, almost $200,000?
Yeah, probably the first one that you,
Yeah.
that you saw. Because those additional items, like they obviously they wanted to have the pre-K, but that wasn't something that they could, put forward this year especially. And, so they, there were $200,000 worth of additional items. 2 of them are still in there, but then we had the adjustments for the fuel oil and the Blue Cross.
That looks good to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Anybody has any questions?
I think when we
I was
see.
kind of bouncing, I'm sorry.
Well, no, go ahead.
I was just kind of bouncing through to see where all the changes are. To be honest with you, you get some of the items, I get lost.
Oh, I know, because
The high-
for one thing, Blue
Yeah.
Cross is spread throughout the budget.
Yeah,
It's in every
that's what I mean.
single cost center in several different lines. And then, like the pre-K program, I left that line in, but zeroed it out. The behavior specialist under special ed is zeroed out.
Yeah.
I know, there's a lot of different lines that it's in. Plus, there were some, you probably, at the version, I can't remember if I took out the other highlights. I have to kind of color code it for me for different versions that we've done, revisions.
That makes it tough because some of them are so dark you could just barely tell what's
Oh.
funny.
Yeah, sorry.
No, no. Yeah, looks good.
Maybe pre-K next year.
I know,
Yeah.
it's something that obviously they want
Yeah,
to do, but,
There's-
you know, given the
yeah.
situation, there's no way
Yep.
that they could put that forward this year.
sure.
They were trying to, basically, the only additional items they kind of had, they had to put in the special ed.
Motion?
Yes? I'll make a motion to request the town manager to include $2,828,691 as the Tremont School Fund appropriation in the fiscal year 21 budget.
Second?
Been moved and seconded to request the town manager to include $2,828,691 as the Tremont School Fund appropriation in the FY 21 budget. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? Okay.
Thank you, we appreciate your support.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, now is the municipal budget. I'm gonna say, what have you revised first, Chris? Anything from the last time that we had seen it?
One very minor change, which was I actually have a real number for the cable franchise fee payment. I didn't have that before, and the projection for next year is an average of the last 3 years, so we got $3,000 more than we wanted. That increased next year's projection by a few $1,000s, which means that the total will be raised by a taxation increase by that amount. It makes almost no difference, but you know, the numbers are slightly different. And then what I wrote in the memo, 2 areas that if you wanted to talk about possibly changing the budget could be a municipal excise tax, just because those receipts have been so much lower than what we projected at the beginning of the year. And municipal revenue sharing on the idea that, you know, we're gonna see less money from the state as their revenues decrease. On that point, I think you should just leave that one alone, because the way that we do municipal revenue sharing is it hits a reserve account and then sits in that account, and we appropriate a certain amount from it every year, and it has a buffer. So even if we didn't get a single dollar of municipal revenue sharing from the state next year, if that account has about $100,000 or about $110,000 sitting in it right now. So if you appropriated the $63,000 that I have in the budget, it'll still be positive, and so you'd be fine. So I don't think we should mess with that at all. If it did have a major issue from the state, we deal with it in FY 22. But the motor vehicle excise tax, I don't know. I mean, I just, that has been all of the map, and I find it very difficult to, you know, have any estimate of where we're gonna be. And so maybe the best thing is just to leave it alone. And if it's lower next year, then it's lower. And again, it'll have an effect on the fund balance, but I don't think it's gonna cause a cash flow problem.
Yeah, and I think basing it on what's been going on right now is, you know, basically people have been told they haven't got a registered vehicle currently, so
Yeah.
that's probably had a lot of effect, I would think, on that number. So it's hard to tell what's gonna happen when they're required to do it again.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a huge
And what is that magic date? It's changed so many
No.
times. The excise for,
deadline.
yeah.
It's 30 days after the end of the state of emergency.
okay,
So when we have a date, the end of the state of emergency.
okay,
I'll tell
right.
you what the date is.
Yep.
I have a feeling you'll have a huge rush among, we can only hope, but I think you.
Yeah, I mean, I know
I think so too.
we had a big rush with them when Gots re-registered all their cars.
Mhm.
Last, I can't remember if it was the end of last week or the beginning of, or yes,
Mhm.
anyway, recently. I think it was the beginning of last week. So that was significant.
Good.
So, I mean, from the budget perspective, if you don't want any changes, then all these budget numbers include what was just presented by the school on the warrant. I think one thing you might want to think about is if everything is going to the voters and they're voting yes or no in the ballot booth, do you want to put everything starting in Article 43? That's a bunch of ordinances, the decision about Pacific Hall, and the editing of the creation of a couple reserves. Are those things that you want to do this year?
So it'd be starting, where were you thinking, Chris?
I said Article 43.
43, okay, yep. Harbor, yeah, the harbors and the wharf.
Some of these I don't think are controversial at all, like the harbor ordinance, I don't think anyone's gonna raise any fuss about that, but obviously the wharf ordinance has some
Mhm.
discussion around it.
And I'm sure like the fireworks might as well, I'm not sure, but.
I think we have it in there. Let's give it a go.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Yeah, we've
I
already
mean-
spent all this time with it.
All right,
Yeah,
Let's
fire away.
not have
I
to
mean, I
deal
know
with it
it's-
another year.
Longer time in the ballot booth and more counting later, but all these committees have worked hard to get the ordinances changed and together, and if we can do it all, let's do it.
Yeah, I just think if we don't do it, we're just kicking it down the road for some other time. And obviously they're all stuff that somebody thought needed attention, so let's deal with it.
yeah, I know the road expense, we kind of tossed the idea back and forth about, still planning for a new road, but I mean, especially after what we just saved with the school, I'm more inclined to do it than I was before, but I think that I think people are gonna see that we still need to maintain our roads, we still need to keep things up. Hopefully this will pass and,
On another note, the DOT, after 5 years, finally dig safe in front of my road to replace that culvert.
yeah.
About 5 years later.
There was a lot of phone calls this week about that work.
Really? Yeah, good. Yeah, in the only thing, I guess, that I was gonna say, I was just looking under the donations earlier to third parties. If some of those don't have any camps this summer, then it wouldn't be going towards, I guess it would just probably roll over to the next year.
Yeah, are we still gonna give them, that's the other thing, are we still gonna be giving them money because
You tell me.
I had, like, for example, I had my kids signed up for Harbor House, Camp Beach Cliff. Great program, great idea. Then they were talking, well, they might only allow it for locals. Well, by closing it, all they did is they pushed everybody into Harbor House and in the YMCA camp and all these other programs. If they just kept it open for locals, all this money that all these towns have put in, at least these kids could have a little bit more space, the local kids. Now they're all crammed into smaller facilities. But, I mean, that's just
That was.
my 2 cents.
More or less my question, and yeah, I just didn't know if they're not having any programs, whether we should be funding it.
I don't think we should give them, if it's not supporting the kids in the community, I mean, we're all, with this COVID stuff, we're all, you know, in trouble with it. I mean, I've got my niece watching my son right now. It's not easy. If we're paying them the money, where's the money going? I mean, I realize there's some facility upkeep and things, but there's donations for that. They're not gonna have the staff on this year probably, with no kids going there. So I have a hard time feeling comfortable giving the facility money. If it was Harbor House, I'd say yes, they're staying open, they're gonna help the community. But I wasn't super impressed, but to hear they're gonna close, and I've had a lot of people actually ask me about that. Why aren't they staying open?
It's only one camp though that we agreed to give money to that's not opening, right?
Yes.
Out of the summer camp loop, but, right,
Uh,
just, Camp Beechcliff is not opening. Everybody else
Does
is.
anyone know what's happening with Summer Festival of the Arts?
They're doing, I don't know if they're doing Summer Festival of the Arts, but they're doing, I know they're doing a kids camp. Mary Ellen Martell's doing a kids camp for the younger kids.
At SFOA or Harbor House?
Harbor House.
Harbor
They're
House
also
is
doing- they're also
opening this
doing-
summer.
They're also doing an aftercare program too.
SFOA?
I don't know what you call it
I
now.
think
No.
that's- I'm pretty
I think
sure
it's just
SFOA
Harbor
is-
House.
So if that's-
SFOA is the older kids, right?
That's like an art camp, Summer
Right.
Festival of the
Yeah.
Arts,
So you have $1,000 going to Summer Festival of the Arts. That was my point.
and Camp Beechcliff.
Correct.
And those camps we don't think are in session this summer.
I can try to find that.
I know Camp
I know
Beechcliff is
my-
I feel about 95% certain that Camp Beechcliff is not.
not, yeah.
No, I know that's-
I know, I have an email in my inbox that says that they're not.
I don't know anything about SFOA, but to answer the question, my understanding of SFOA is that they're operating an arts camp.
Yeah.
So,
I don't have a problem giving money to the camps that are like Harbor House or, you know, the ones that
Yeah.
actually are in session, but I agree about,
And, but this is gonna wrap around to next spring, so this is gonna be, you know, this budget will be, in effect for next year, which hopefully.
If they do open,
Yeah,
I'm looking on their page right now.
Do you know that they do a bunch of stuff with the schools, you know, during the year?
Camp Beechcliff does, yep.
Yeah.
Things.
and that is what their application listed, is that they would provide 2 full scholarships to our summer program, so.
If there is a summer program.
But maybe they won't ask for as
Ma-
much
yeah.
next year either,
Yeah.
if they don't use it.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing
Okay.
I'm not seeing anything about Summer Festival of the Arts.
yeah, I mean, maybe we should just,
Summer
I
camp.
know, I caught it and I thought this, you know, it's a fair amount of money, it was it was more this year too, and just at least put it down to what it was last year. It's only a couple thousand, but it would be, I mean, this year is 5, they requested, and last year was 3. You know, so that's,
I don't see giving a scholarship to something that's not happening. I
but
don't
do you
Well,
think they're really gonna send you a bill this
I
year?
was gonna say the money,
Like-
even if we, appropriate the money for it, we aren't spending it
Correct.
necessarily.
Yeah, I was gonna be a question, if you didn't wanna do it, do you wanna
To put it in a fund,
Do
right?
you want to raise it? Do you want to raise it from taxation and then just not spend it and then it lapses to surplus?
Yeah.
Or do you want to change the warrant so that you don't raise it in the first place?
I'd rather,
I've got no problem raising the money and if it doesn't get spent, it'll be there for the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's a good move. We know this, it doesn't have to get spent on that specific item or anything, any of the donations we make.
All the money that's in there, honestly, if you guys took a motion and
We use on any of the donations we do.
you could spend it on anything the 5 of you want to spend, or the 3 of the 5 of you want to spend it on.
Yeah,
Well, it's locked in after it's approved on the town meeting warrant though.
Well, the only thing, if you look at the warrant, it's Article. Well, it says 24, but it's not Article 24. It's going to be later than that because I had the
27.
27.
Yeah,
27?
Mhm.
Okay, so it doesn't list any of them there.
Okay.
So I would say you have 20, you can always change your mind.
can we just call it unassigned category? Take the same money, just call it unassigned?
Well,
take
You're
that,
raising it for donations to nonprofit organizations, so
Yeah, just
as soon as that's
specific.
It's
been,
no different, yeah, no, I understand that. No,
Yeah.
you're right. It would, then we can divide it up as we see fit.
exactly.
We'll stay with it then.
Yeah, leave
Yeah.
it, leave it alone.
And then if they do offer programs, then we will just keep
Mhm.
going it on par as we did.
Yeah, I think that's a smart way to do it.
That mask will not stay up.
No, yeah.
Yeah. All right, yeah, I'm comfortable with that. I think.
The only other thing I would say is that, I have been waiting for MMA to issue legal guidance related to this executive order, and I'm sort of surprised that it hasn't happened. The order came out on June 3rd, and today's the 9th, and there hasn't been any guidance. I think had a long conversation with the town attorney today. We think that everything on here is the intent of the governor, but we are also waiting for a call back from MMA. If I get a call on Thursday from them saying, stop, everything you're doing is illegal, then I'm gonna give Jamie a call and say, what do we do? But otherwise, I think this is your intention, then go for it.
Let's do this.
It all gets voted up or down anyway. We're not till final.
Yeah,
I mean, I guess the big worry is when people are in the privacy of the ballot booth, you get some pranksters vote no on a bunch of things just to see what happens. Vote no on the administration budget. It was nice hearing
I'm more concerned.
See?
if they
See
vote-
ya.
Well, I think it could get messier than that, depends on where they vote yes and no.
I don't think people,
Hopefully.
I don't think it's gonna be that bad.
People
Hopefully.
understand why we have to do this. Yes.
Do you have to have a public hearing on any of your?
Yes, so that's the next thing is that, another question that I have for the attorney is, do we have to have a public hearing on each? Typically, if something's by secret ballot, then you have to have a public hearing for that item beforehand, so the public has a chance to weigh in. Do you have to have a public hearing on all 56 articles? And I asked that question, and the answer that I got was no. You could have one public hearing that did it all. And what I would say is if you had a high amount of participation, you could say, please briefly state, what article are you talking about? And then address it and say,
Rather than going through each one individually, send it back to the crowd and let them say, here's your packet. What would you like? Which one are you concerned about?
That you could say, all right, if anyone else has a comment on Article 27, well, we're talking about 27 instead of having someone talk about 27 and 14 and 22.
But what if 50 people show up, we just hand out packets out in the parking lot and
They come in a certain amount at a time
Yeah.
and discuss their concerns and then leave, right?
Yeah, we just say
Or
Article 1, any comments?
Yeah, anybody
and then-
come in.
Yeah, come on in. Right. We do it that way.
the executive order does address this, and it says you could do it via remote. And so if you're worried about that, I worry about if you're having it in person and then you're turning people away, the point of public hearing is that everybody has the right to hear everybody else's comments. And so if you have some people in here, but you send some people out, I worry that that can violate the intent of a public hearing, and now the whole thing could be legally called into question. So maybe the best way to do it is, I know we all like meeting in person, but we have one more Zoom meeting. And do it entirely by Zoom.
Yeah.
And force, because we know that's illegal, we know that it's A-okay.
Mhm.
It's explicitly stated in the.
And nobody's gonna show up.
executive order.
It's hard telling. I think that's a lot safer way to go.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
Do you think that the idea of if you literally said, warrant 24 or Article 24 is public works, anybody who would like to address any concern of public works can come in, and then people could come in,
No, because I think that if somebody, let's say that somebody was particularly interested in public works and somebody else, when you called for solid waste, was talking about solid waste, the whole point of a public hearing is that person who's interested in public works or an open time meeting, might think, oh, I wasn't thinking about that, but now you mentioned it, and that's a really good point.
Yeah.
And so that's the point of
Yep.
of these
No,
open discussions.
Yep.
The one thing on that meeting, if we do it electronically, I think you're gonna have to mute everyone except
Yeah, I
us.
think I can.
There's a way of signaling,
Yep.
you know, and
Raise your
make
hand.
sure everyone understands that, but you're gonna have to keep them muted or if there's any kind of group.
Can we set a, like a floor limit?
Yeah, you do in your general policies.
Okay, well, I just wonder if we could still do that. Everything was fine there, because
I don't see the difference.
Can we do the Zoom meeting here so that we can have our laptop and like be able to,
Yeah, the 5 of you could be here present.
Yeah.
And,
and then we.
but everybody should bring a device.
Oh, yeah, no, if we
Yeah.
each have our laptop, but then we'd be able to discuss
It's
more.
gonna do
I don't
some-
know, I
it's
think
gonna do some
I
echoing,
think it's
isn't it?
easier to discuss
Oh.
things.
Yeah, it
Yeah, I was
does.
gonna
Yeah.
say, is it bandwidth's gonna
serious
handle
echo
it
if
too.
I was
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody could get into a
a closet or.
Yeah.
Well,
Nothing works.
I'm just thinking, if we got 6 of us sitting here all doing video conferencing too, are we gonna end up with bandwidth problems?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. You're an expert in that.
Yeah, I don't know what the connection here is, but I'd say it's a distinct possibility that none of us would work well
Yeah.
if we're all sitting here.
The date for that would have to be June 29th. Well, if you want to keep it on a Monday, June 29th works for that. There has to be a certain number of days before the meeting.
Okay.
And that's not a regularly scheduled meeting, so.
So should we,
What time are we gonna do that? Same?
5 o'clock. It's a regular meeting.
That's for the public hearing.
Perfect.
Okay.
From home.
so would you like to have a motion, then, Chris, on the town meeting warrant? And then also a motion separately for proposed public hearing?
You don't need to do the public hearing one,
Okay.
but you can. It's up to you.
Probably could do it one motion, can't you?
Sure.
You could
Yeah.
also use the second motion that's in my memo and then add to the end of it and to schedule a public hearing for all referendum questions on June 29th, 2020, at 5 p.m. or at 5 p.m. via Zoom.
Okay, I make a motion to certify and sign the 2020 annual town meeting warrant and schedule a public meeting.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to certify and sign the 2020 annual town meeting warrant. Schedule a public hearing via Zoom for June 29th at 5 p.m. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? I'll have to get used to it again. All those in favor? Aye.
Sorry.
Mackenzie. Spoke with Chris earlier after hearing the governor's newest rules and just to know what everyone's thoughts were about keeping up the signage that says you have to quarantine for 14 days because now there's exceptions to that. Quite a few exceptions. So I just didn't know, wanted to get everybody's input on how you felt about leaving them up, taking them down, or what to do with them.
Auction them off.
I mean, they got quite a few of them at the border. And,
Can't say go away.
yeah,
Okay.
And it's confusing. If the governor's
Yeah.
saying one thing and we
Yeah.
have signs saying something else, people are gonna be like, what do I
I
do?
just say
So take them down.
Yeah.
It's not, it really should be, at this point, it's pretty common knowledge, each state has their own set of rules, so, I mean, I would leave it up to the individual to
Yeah.
follow. If they don't see it when they cross the border, I mean, I have somebody that actually just quarantined for 2 weeks and started working for me, this week. And she was taking pictures when she was coming across the border to stay at her parents' house. She's like, this is nuts. She's like, look at this. Signage everywhere. So I don't think we should have to enforce the police. I think it should be up to state and federal government to do that at this point.
I think
One of them's doing something anyway. Yeah, I think taking them down is fine.
Me too.
Okay.
I think it's time.
Might not be right away.
No,
That
that's
is
fine.
possible.
Just,
I hear some of them evaporate anyway.
Surplus property. Auction.
we could turn them around backwards and right on the back outside, so don't do that. All right, you need a motion on that now. Okay. Next is a town manager's report.
Oh, shoot, I forgot to take that off. I don't have one for it, I'm sorry.
No, you.
I meant to delete that from the agenda.
Oh, that was easy.
Sweet.
Wait, I thought you guys liked
No complaints.
I mean, aw, Chris.
All right, suggestions for the next meeting?
I just have a question.
Mhm.
Are we,
All of the boat races for the whole season. So this is hearsay, but that's what I heard as of.
so it's not just a town thing, that's something that gets voted on as like a,
Yeah, they said that as a group, they were all canceled, but I'm gonna confirm that in the meantime before, that's one thing I was gonna mention to Chris, because I know it's on our agenda for next.
what's the harbor board say?
They recommended you have it.
Let's run a. I mean, this harbor's full of lobster boats anyway, it's not gonna change it.
I don't wanna comment at this time. All right, next meeting date.
I'll make a motion to confirm the date of the next meeting for Monday, June 15th at 5 PM at the town office.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to confirm the date of the next meeting for Monday, June 15th, 2020 at 5 PM at the town office. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? No, I will check on that, Chris. I was gonna make a phone call this afternoon, but I didn't get time, just so I can tell you for sure if it had been.
I'm sure that one of either Colin or, Lawson.
Yep.
What's her first name? Jeff, no. Well, whoever it is.
Last week I saw a schedule and Bass Harbor was still on the schedule,
Yes,
but maybe
it
that's,
was. Yeah, the
okay,
last
it's
time that I saw it, I just.
changes quick.
Someone
You're
said that.
signing.
Yes, oh gosh. I'm glad you were still here, right?
Yeah.
See, I'm not used to this. I'll get back in the flow of things. Everybody use a different pen.
I'll have to look where that is.
When he had.
I was thinking the worst, we had, we're doing Zoom, we should have that digital signature.
I don't think that's MMA with
Actually, we're.
their opinion is
See you guys.
a signature
Yeah,
is
already.
pen on paper.
I didn't,
Chris,
I didn't know.
Sir.
you know.
you cut the cord, or
Let me do that.
not? You?